I got back from a run covering 6 states yesterday, and I've got my normal bunch of escort guys that I normally use, and none were available, so I had to hire out and came across a guy that was one of the escorts, and he was good, and the other escort wasn't quite so good. You hear a lot of stories, and it's hard to legitimize them. This guy is an ex-state trooper that trained for and spent 20 years in the force, and to legitimize that, when we got to where we delivered, I had to badge him in so he could help me back the load into where I was, so we had to go to security gates. And what legitimized it was the fact that when they ran his license and credentials, his name and photo popped up from prior. So I can guarantee you that he is the real deal. We've named him as John Doe in here. He can't speak about a couple of stories that we talked about due to the fact that he's ex-state trooper. Yeah, interesting guy, interesting story, and a few details about how pilot cars run and time they spend on the road. Hope you find this video interesting. Right, ready?
Yeah.
All right, today we're here with John Doe, who's my escort driver for the last three or 4 days.
Can we say pilot car instead of escort?
Escort. Yeah, there's a problem with that escorting things.
I don't think sitting in a truck in a parking lot saying I'm your escort's the best way to go.
He's a male pilot car driver. He's been with me for the last 3 or 4 days, and he works for White Tiger Enterprise. Well, he is White Tiger Enterprise, because I believe you own your own car, don't you?
It's just me.
We're calling him John Doe because in his previous career, he was a state trooper. Anything else you want to introduce about yourself? Where you from, where you grew up, or anything?
Central Indiana, born and raised. I mean, I never left other than doing this, which is why I got into this, so I could see the rest of the country.
Okay. What did you want to do as a kid?
What I wound up doing, I wanted to be a cop.
Okay. So you wanted to be a cop from a young age.
Actually,
when did you go into the police academy?
I graduated when I was 20, almost 27.
7 years old.
A couple of weeks before.
How long do you have to stay in the academy?
24 weeks.
Okay. And you did something different at the end you had extra training at the end of the academy, didn't you?
I had, at the end of the academy, they put me through undercover school because they said I didn't look or act like a cop. So
Really?
Then I went into narcotics for a while. 15 years is a while. And then my last 5 years I did way station DOT duty.
Ah, okay. So you were the man in the scale house responsible for running down renegade truck drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you train others in the narcotics or
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I brought some of the guys along.
Okay. How many years did you spend as a trooper?
20.
That's retirement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I got married this last time, we made an agreement that when I hit 20, I'd find something else to do. So
Okay.
I hit my 20, and I had enough war stories and stuff. I figured, let's go do something else and see what happens.
Right. How long have you been retired from the force?
We're going on 3 years now.
3 years. Okay. How did you meet your wife?
At a hospital. She was a nurse at a hospital, and I was in there getting one of my arrestees cleared, and there was a critical incident.
Yep.
And she wound up patching me up after I got some fluorescent light fragments on my cheek.
Okay. 15 years in narcotics. What was the reason for the change?
The way you work that job, you wind up spending the time with a lot of the lower class folks, and you can spend too much time with them, and it was time to go do something a little more sedate.
Okay. Any incidents in there that you can talk about or not?
Yeah, I mean, not really. Not on camera, yeah.
You did have a wreck that...
I did wreck a car chasing some bank robbers one time. I'm pretty good, and that's why I still have the funny walk occasionally.
That's right. I've got a horrible problem where if I see somebody with missing a finger or an eye, I just have to ask the stupid question of, so, you know, how did that happen?
You're not going to offend me. I've been called everything in the book, and in fact, I think I've been insulted and flipped off more as a pilot than I ever was as a cop.
Perhaps not so much nowadays, but I can understand that.
And that was the other reason for getting out. I got tired of, you know, everybody you deal with. There's 8 or 9 people with cell phones, and they all know better than you do, which I never minded being recorded, but it makes things a lot trickier and a lot more dangerous.
Okay.
Because now instead of dealing with the guy I'm dealing, I've got to watch the other people behind me that may or may not agree with my decision. And so now instead of dealing with 1, I'm dealing with 8.
Right.
And it just, good, bad, or indifferent, the political climate right now, it was time for a change.
Okay. The patrol and way station service. So what did you do in the you worked the shift? I think you said from was it
6 p.m. 2 a.m.
6 p.m. to 2 a.m. So you go and sit in the way station?
Yeah, I'd sit in the way station, or sometimes I'd go sit in my car and just watch the toll road there for speeders, or
Yep.
you know, since I was DOT certified to do inspections, I'd look at trucks as they went by to see if I could find something blatantly obvious.
Okay.
Like the one we passed on the way that had the fender flopping and the wheel about to fall off, that would have been one I'd have pulled over right away.
Okay, just obvious. Did you have a quota of inspections?
No.
So
I was supposed to do 4 a month.
4 level 1s?
4 level 1s a month, and that was basically the only thing they required.
Okay. Would you normally just do level 2 or 3?
I usually, if I walked up to the truck and everything looked halfway decent, I was kind of soft on it because my dad was an owner-operator.
Okay.
So if everything looked pretty decent, I was just, you know, let me give you level 3 and I'll give you your cert and off the road you go.
Okay.
If I walked up to the truck and it was blatantly obvious that he was pushing it, or something was really wrong with his logs or his license or his permits, then I would dig a little deeper.
Can you talk about the story you told me yesterday about the driver that you trusted and you gave a break?
Yeah.
And then you can talk about that one?
Yeah,
All right, go right ahead.
Of course, you know, I'm assuming most of your viewers are heavy haul drivers, so you know there's a curfew.
There's a mixture, but yep, there's you got curfews on oversized loads, so it's 30 minutes before sunrise to 30 minutes after sunset. So pretty much when the sun sets down in most cases, in most states, then you shouldn't be on the road.
I'm tooling around, and hour and a half after, and it oversized load, front and rear escort, and I'm like, so I pulled him over, and my normal thing was, you know, you catch guys all the time, 5-10 minutes out, 10 minutes away from a truck stop, not a big deal. I walk up to him and I'm like, you're an hour and a half out after, what's your plan here? And he's like, well, I'm planning on going home. How far's home? Oh, I got another 500. No. Truck stop up the road, you need to pull over. Trust me, if you don't, I'm gonna know. And if I have to deal with you again tonight, it's gonna be everything I can give you. So I had a buddy sitting up the road, and sure enough, he shot right past the truck stop. My buddy pulled him over for speeding, and I got up there. We wound up, I think it turned out to be close to 18,000 in fines by the time I was done.
Right.
Yeah, and nobody to blame but himself.
You would have been pretty mad about that because you gave him a good chance. I mean, he could have got ticketed where he was when you stopped him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I understood. I mean, he said he wanted to get home to his wife. I get that. I mean, that's no big deal, but pull over when I tell you.
Yeah.
Don't, you know, figure I'm not going to be watching and go the other way.
5 or 10 minutes outside curfew was one thing, but an hour and a half running. Was he wide?
He was wide.
Okay.
It wide and tarped with a black tarp.
Yeah, that could get dangerous. I think the CEO of the company got involved.
He wound up calling me and asking me what we could do, and maybe could we not tow his truck if he sent another driver and stuff like that, which, to be real honest, I never liked towing heavy hauls unless I absolutely had to, because it's a pain in the ass to get them towed.
Right.
Because you can't use a regular rotator to do it. and then the tow truck driver's got to be certified to move the load, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, okay. Any other crazy stories with truck drivers?
Not really, you know. For the most part, I always found most of them were pretty decent. If you walked up and, you know, I was polite and they were polite, we usually got along pretty well. You know, you guys all know the issues you've got now in the trucking industry. Seat warmers versus drivers.
Well, yeah.
You know, and some of them I don't understand how they get their CDLs because they don't, well, speak English. I don't know if you can put that on your YouTube channel or not, but.
Well, it's true. Some of them don't.
And it's just, I see more problems now as a pilot than I did as a cop.
What do you mean? Watching other trucks? Or?
Yeah, watching other trucks.
Okay.
Well, like we said today, when we were coming across, it wasn't going to be us that caused the accident. It was going to be somebody that wasn't paying attention and blew into your load.
Yeah, that's why I've got you guys with me. Did you ever like ride along in traffic and just kind of watch trucks?
Mm-hmm.
Did you focus on trucks more because you were DOT certified?
Mm-hmm. I had to.
All right.
I had to. Yeah. So I focused on trucks. I always watched, and it's usually it's just what I call laziness, just blatant laziness. You know, what'd it take you to put the flags on the back of your trailer when we were up there in Michigan? An extra 10 minutes?
A couple of minutes.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many guys don't put enough flags on, or they don't check their truck in the morning to make sure their damn headlights are working.
A lot of cell phone. Did you ever pull over for cell phone usage?
Actually, by the time I got ready to retire, the cell phone thing was just coming into where they were making it illegal.
Because I think that's like a $2,700 odd fine, and
yep, a lot of distracted driving.
Yeah, and it's not just phones anymore. It's pretty much
phones. And well, what'd we see? That one that went past us
reading a tablet.
Yeah. Or the one that cut in between me and you there around Indy.
On the
cell phone that wouldn't move. I mean, little electric smart car, if she'd have smashed into the back of your load, well, you probably wouldn't have known it, but she'd have been dead. She'd have never made that. Just stupid shit. And it's usually, you can trace it back to stupid shit.
Yeah.
You know, the worst accident I ever worked was truck. Driver behind smashed the car into the truck in front of him at 60 miles an hour, never even hit his brakes, never even looked up. Just dumb shit.
Did you have to work all the accident scenes?
I worked a lot of them because there's a lot of paperwork with DOT on these.
Okay.
A lot of paperwork with a DOT accident. So, but.
And it's fatality. They have to shut down the road and mark it all out, don't
Mm-hmm.
they? Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it's not, most of the time, truthfully, it's not the truck driver's fault. It's the force fault. Because they will not. People don't understand. Yeah, I can stop my pilot car in 60 feet. You can't.
No, certainly not. So, did you escort superloads as a trooper?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yeah, we did a few of them.
Okay.
Those are fun. I mean, that's an easy day, but it's a whole lot different being an escort in a squad car than it is in my truck now.
Yeah, they probably pay a heck of a lot more attention to the red and blue lights.
Nobody flips you off in the squad car, no.
It's funny that.
Yeah, it's just odd.
Yeah. For those that don't know, some superloads in some states require police escorts. You may have seen them going down the road with 2 or 3 state police escorts. So how do they pay you?
Flat rate, $300 a day is what it was back then. I don't know what it is now.
Okay, and it might be different per state, but they paid just that flat rate a day.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Did they always start you off close to where the load began, or would you drive all the way across the state sometimes to escort loads?
It whatever post was closest to where the load was coming across the line or where it was starting from is the troopers that got it.
Okay, and that, I guess, would depend on availability. If they didn't have enough available units, then the load would have to wait.
Yes.
Perhaps? Okay, until.
I've seen that happen several times. That happened to me once in Arizona. They couldn't get enough Arizona DPS guys to escort us across.
Okay.
So we had to wait an extra day.
Yeah, I've heard.
I've heard. I haven't been there in a while, but I've heard New York is real bad about that too. If they don't have anybody, you don't go.
Right.
You sit and wait.
California, I've heard stories of too. Them waiting quite a while.
I don't go to California or New York.
Neither do I. What led you to? So is that what led you to doing escort after?
And I had a neighbor that ran a pilot car service, and she said, "You ought to do this. It's fun." She said, "You drive all over. The money's good," which it is. Mm-hmm. And she said, you meet the most interesting people.
That's true.
You do meet the most interesting people.
Even more interesting than you met as a trooper.
Yeah, sometimes, because, you know, I always said that if I wanted everybody to like me, I'd join the fire department, because everybody's happy when firemen show up. Nobody's happy when the cops show up. 9 times out of 10, the truck driver's happy when he gets a good pilot.
Yep.
And that makes the trip, you know, well, like we did, we spent a lot of time talking on the radio going across the dull parts.
Yep.
I said, so if you got a good driver and a good escort, they're fun.
Yeah.
You get a bad driver or a bad escort, and I'll be honest, I've run into more bad escorts than I have heavy haul drivers.
Okay. Yeah, I normally stick with my regulars, and that's how we came to meet in the last couple of days. As I ran out of my regulars, so I just had to go out on a limb.
It's been busy for December this year.
Yeah. I guess everybody's trying to get things wrapped up before Christmas. So do you enjoy it?
Yes, very much.
Okay. You spend a little bit of time out on the road?
On this trip, I think I've been out almost 4 weeks now.
Okay. You're in a Ford F-150.
No, I'm in a Chevy 1500.
sorry.
Don't say Ford.
That's right. My wife's got the Ford F-150.
Yeah, that's your mistake, not mine.
Chevy Silverado. So so what do you do at nights?
Motels.
Okay.
I always do motels.
All right. And are you paid for the motels? How much do they pay for motels?
Anywhere between 70 and 75 a night.
Okay. And how do you charge the truck drivers? Is that per mile or per job?
Depends. Long jobs like yours, we did mileage. Short job that's 125 miles, it's flat rate.
Okay. And typically, what's the rate per mile?
Anywhere between 250 and 400.
Sorry, the dollar amount per mile.
For a flat rate?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, for the mileage.
Figure average, $1.50 usually.
Okay.
Anywhere between $1.50 and $1.75, depending on what you're doing.
Okay. Oh, so there's different rates for different positions?
Yeah, if you're running a high pole, it pays more money, usually, but I've never found high pole worth it, because you've got to carry the extra insurance on your vehicle for the high pole, and it's not my thing.
Oh, there's additional insurance for high pole?
Yeah, you're supposed to have high pole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to have high pole insurance, in addition to the standard $1 million liability and all the other stuff.
Okay. Right. Well, what's the give us the upsides of private escorting, private pilot car service?
It's all mine.
Okay.
I'm responsible for everything, which I like. You know, I don't. You know, we ran with one today that their issued vehicle is a van. I'd never drive a van. I know guys like sleeping in them at truck stops, and guys like them, but like the issue we ran into, she couldn't get far enough ahead of us because of the wind today.
We learned today that vans don't make the best, and I'd never really considered that until it got as windy. By the way, it's like 65, 70 mile an hour winds out there. It's really picked up. So if you see the cab and camera rocking, that's the reason.
And like I said, you know, this one's a short one, 2.5 days. I've been on them before 5 to 7 days. I do not want to be cooped up in the same van for 7 days straight.
Right.
So, you know, plus you sleep better at the motel. You don't have to worry about, you know, Swift driver running into your van while you're asleep.
That's true.
There's a lot of advantages to it. And, you know, the rate for the motel is $75. If you know what you're doing, you can get a room for $50. That extra money goes into the gas fund anyway, so. And you're fresher in the morning and paying more attention.
Yep.
Because, you know, again, and I'm not knocking the other escort we had this morning, but we learned today that if you're not paying attention, bad things can happen. Especially in small towns. I mean, you were basically blind for a while this morning, and you shouldn't have been.
Nope. Yeah, I run into the odd one that is problematic, but we work through it. What any downsides to what you do?
Not really. I mean, I don't particularly like driving in the snow. I think, and literally that's my worst thing. I don't like driving on snow and ice much, and sometimes you have to, and that's the only downside to me.
Typically, most of these states have it in the permit, the wording for if it's snow. I mean, Kansas is pretty particular about it. They don't want you driving on any snowpack or ice or whatnot. Other states are a little bit more lenient, and I have run oversized loads when there has been you know, a little bit of snow or a little bit of ice, but generally you don't run in a lot of inclement weather.
Michigan's a little lenient on it, and they'll let you run on 94. And in my opinion, 94 ices faster than any road I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's a dangerous stretch through there.
I don't like
that
doing
a lot.
that stuff like that. You know, occasionally you'll get what I call I guess you guys call them super truckers now, but I call them the cowboy drivers.
Yep.
That, and you usually know within 100 miles if you got one, he won't care. He'll run blinding rain and, you know, everything else, and he'll run 80 in the blinding rain.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've had to explain to him before, look, I get it. You can run 80 because you can see, but you got to remember, I'm taking all the rain from the sky and the back of your load. I can't see.
Right.
And they sometimes don't understand that. So,
what about time away from home? Do you?
you know, that has worked out pretty well because I can usually, being independent like I am, I can call my own trips. I don't have anybody telling me, hey, you have to go to New York next week. If I don't want to take a New York, I don't have to.
Yep.
If we want to go to Florida, my other half is certified, so she can run legally with me as a pilot car driver. So if I want to go to Florida, I can go to Florida. We can spend 3 or 4 days down there, and then I'll find a ride out of there eventually.
Oh, so she has to be certified to be a passenger.
Supposed to be.
Okay.
Guys get away with not, but they're supposed to be certified to ride in that passenger seat.
What about if they got a dog? Does the dog need to be certified?
No, but I have my own issues with the one, and I know people get lonely out here and they want to have their pets, but I have issues with that. I have issues with anything that could potentially slow my truck driver down.
I don't mind if they have animals in the truck and I don't know that they have until I see them in there. But ones that keep wanting to, you know, I have to stop every couple of hours because Frou needs to go potty or whatever. Yeah, I'm not so keen on. You find a lot of drivers that have had a dog with them for a while. The dog's pretty good and knows that, you know, you ain't going to be stopping like every 5 minutes. But and then there's a distraction factor.
That's the thing that bothers
dogs.
me is the distraction factor of having your Fido next to you in the front seat.
Well, I had a gal like I told you that had her daughter in the car and 2 big dogs, and it wasn't a large vehicle. I can't remember what she was running, but there was just way too much going on for her, and she wasn't paying any attention as a rear. That didn't work out. So,
well, it's like we had to switch front and rear escorts on this trip because you can't see with the load we had.
nope.
You can't see, and if there's a trust issue between the driver and the rear escort, things get dicey and dangerous fast.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I was 14 wide this time.
14 or 15?
14.9.
Well, 14.
It was under. I permitted for 15, but it was actually
Okay.
It was 14.9. As soon as I saw it wasn't over 15, I dropped the tape measure and forgot about it. But I couldn't see anything from in those mirrors. Yeah, just zero rear visibility. No fun whatsoever. I'm really intrigued about the state trooper and the truck driver. How many years did your father drive a truck for?
30 years.
30 years.
He started out in the 60s driving the triple gas tanks.
Okay.
And I'll say that to drivers occasionally I work with. He drives the triple gas tanks, and they have no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't believe I've seen triples in for gas haulers.
I think they got rid of him, and I think he told me they got rid of him in the 70s. He's in his 70s now. He's 78, but I think he told me that sometime in the 70s they got rid of him.
Okay. And did he own his own equipment?
Oh yeah, he always owned his own stuff.
All right from the get-go.
Oh yeah, he was
We're gonna get
always
blown
independent.
over here.
That's why when I started this and I was talking to him, he said the only way to do it is to own your own truck.
Yep.
He said, own your own truck, do your own thing, and do your own thing. He said, if you get tired of driving after a couple weeks, take a week off. He said, don't go work for somebody that, well, you got to work 50 weeks out of the year. And that, I think, has been the best advice I've gotten.
Right.
So, and it seems to me the happiest drivers, big truck drivers I've had have been the independents.
Right. So when you're kind of similar to me. When you got into this, you went in with paid off equipment and low debt. You know, no big issues at home.
Yep. No, I own my own house. I've got my retirement money coming in, and so.
So you get retirement from the force?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, got my retirement money, and yeah, you know, my biggest expense is the maintenance on my truck.
Okay.
And I'll buy a new one every 3 years.
So how do you budget for a vehicle replacement?
So at the end of the month, after all the bills we paid, whatever's left over, half of that goes into the truck fund.
Okay.
And the other half goes into the regular emergency, incidental, mama wants a new iPad or something fund.
Okay. Do you pay yourself on like a W-2 and process state payroll taxes, or?
No.
No. So you just 1099 all lumped in
Yeah.
at the end of the year?
Yeah, at the end of the year, we figure out what we took out for personal, pay the mortgage and the other stuff. And,
Okay. What can you claim on taxes as a pilot car?
oh, you can claim everything.
All right.
Absolutely everything. Food, motels,
Fuel.
mileage, obviously, tires, windshields, my Apple Music expense,
Yep.
my
XM
Audible,
subscription.
XM subscription, my Kindle subscription for my audiobooks, or
Yep.
not my audiobooks, but my magazines on my iPad while I'm at the motel at night. That can be claimed. Oh yeah, you can claim everything.
You said audio books, and it reminded me of
Yeah.
I had a driver once tell me, he said I like to listen to audio books when I drive, so if I don't respond, then just key up again and tell me again, because I might not be listening. And yeah, he didn't run with me ever again.
No, you can't. No, that's why I was so fired up this morning, and just unless I needed to talk, I just shut up because I was so damn mad.
Now, how many miles do you put on a truck before you trade it in?
I'll usually go 300, 350.
Okay, you trade them in, or you sell them privately?
I sell it privately, and then I just take that money plus what we've got in the savings account,
Yep.
minus what I'm going to need for the new light bar and stuff, and the new CB.
Oh, you replace light bars every time?
Yeah, I usually do, just because they get so fogged over and chipped up, and I don't want my shit not working on a run sometime.
Absolutely.
I don't want to get halfway through a run to Texas and my light bar go out.
Right. What brand of lights do you
The
prefer?
one I've got on this one is a Welland.
Okay, that's the same that police use, isn't it?
That's why I bought it.
I went for Towmaster. They're out of Northwest Arkansas, and actually make them in the US. So far, it's been pretty good.
And this one was programmable because New York, if you read it for pilot cars, it's supposed to rotate, not flash.
360.
This one I can make rotate 360.
Okay.
And I don't want to attract any more attention to my load or myself than I have to.
In New York.
Yeah, well, in any state.
Are they a bit fussy in New York?
I've heard New York can be very fussy. I've never had any problems, but I've only run across the top part of the state. I've never gotten near New York City.
Okay. Yeah, I've never run in there either. Got a buddy that lives up there, Ruthless, and he kind of specialises in running into New York and whatnot that other people are afraid to do.
Well, I've heard there's companies that'll come out, like if you get the load to Pennsylvania, they'll come out and meet you at the line. They'll run it into New York. They'll hook their day cab up to your trailer, run it into New York City, bring your trailer back to you.
Have all the permits and escorts ready to go, and
Yep.
yeah, that would probably make sense financially if somebody had never been up there and was a little bit worried about getting it in there.
I would. I imagine company drivers don't have that option, but I assume independents use them all the time.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
It was a fun trip.
Had fun?
I did have fun. Other than this morning, I had fun.